Hi, I'm David Lee, and this is What's Cooking at Shell Point.
And I'm Ruth Deuberm, and I'm really excited about this show. David thought of this because I said I'd like to make biscotti, and he took it over. So,
Yeah,
good
and say hello to our friend Kayana, who's here today as an intern at Shell Point, and so welcome to the show. And our special guest today is Peter Davenport. You may recognize Peter. He is our wonderful guy at the Promenade Café. You're going to show us how to make biscotti, and when we're done, we're even going to get to have some, right?
Yes, you will.
Okay, Peter, please show us.
All right.
Alrighty. So first, what we're going to do is take butter, have it at room temperature. It just makes it so the mixing is a lot easier. So we're going to take about a quarter of it. We're just going to plop it in. We want it just to kind of coat the bottom of it. That way, when we put in the eggs and the sugar, it won't just clump up. Now, 2 eggs and a cup of sugar. We want that just to mix until it's starting to not clump, but just be nice and liquidy.
3 of my favorite ingredients. I know you have a few more of my favorite ingredients yet to come.
Oh yes. This is the almond extract. So now this stuff
That's a little bit bigger bottle than I have in my house.
probably costs a little bit more than what you have. Do about a tablespoon of it. Just enough that it covers. Now what this is going to do is it's going to help bring out the nutty flavor within the biscotti. You might think that's a little bit too much, but it does really make the difference.
Yeah.
So in here we have the flour and the cornmeal.
And how much flour and how much cornmeal?
It's 2 cups of flour
Okay.
and 3/4 cup of cornmeal.
Gotcha.
So what we have here, just a little bit of salt, maybe a couple of teaspoons
Okay.
full. And this is the baking soda. We don't want too much of it, just a couple of pinches.
Haha, that's how Grandma used to cook. A pinch of this.
Exactly. So now what we're going to do, whisk this up until it's as mixed up as we can get it. So what we're going to do is little by little add it in.
So it looks like you're putting about 1/4 of the dry ingredients in.
Yep.
That'd be fair to say. And I've noticed that you didn't really overbeat it, just till it came together, right?
If you over mix it, it won't combine with the flour. Now it's almost like a dough.
Yeah, yeah.
This is where we're going to add, for this one we're doing, is pecans and chocolate chips.
Yeah.
So I like to do at least 2 nice handfuls of pecans.
That's Grandma.
Now for the chocolate chips, I like to use the dark
Semi-sweet.
chocolate, just because it gives it a better taste when you're baking with it. So now this is going to get a little rough. So now the last thing we do is take our sheet pan. We have parchment paper, and what we're going to do is we're just going to coat the whole thing. So essentially what we want to do is we want to have this as much of a even log as we can. The way you have it will affect how it's cooked.
So it looks like it's about 2.5 inches wide.
Roughly
Right.
about.
And probably 1.5 inches thick. Okay.
But you also have to remember that it's going to expand a little bit.
Okay, so it's gonna
cooking.
like when I make my chocolate chip cookies, it's gonna spread out.
Spread out. It's going to get a little bit taller. So that's why you want to try to have it as even as you can when you bake it. Now we have it set at 375, and what we're going to do, we're going to set it for roughly 40 to 45 minutes, depending on how it looks. If you want it a little bit crispier, you can crisp it up a little bit more, add an extra 5 minutes. So we're going to do it 45. After that, we'll see how it turns out.
Okay. Okay, Peter, so it's now been about 45, 50 minutes, right?
Exactly.
Wow, and it's brown around the edges.
Yep.
And you're absolutely right, it's spread out, just like my chocolate chip cookies.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Now, even though we put it in for 40 minutes, I put some extra time on it just because I had a feeling it wasn't going to be fully done.
okay, so you just kind of have to watch it.
After 40 minutes, you watch it, you add or take away time if you need
Okay,
to.
so now the magic is we're gonna let this cool, put it in the fridge overnight,
Exactly.
and then we'll start tomorrow.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's how it is. You
Yeah.
want to get it cool because the cooler it gets, the more dense it'll become. That
Oh,
way,
okay.
once it's fully solid, when you cut into it, it won't be breaking up again. Let's take it out of here. So
It almost looks good enough to eat now, but it gets better.
It's almost done.
Yeah.
Just a little bit longer, and then we'll be eating it. What we're going to do here is we're going to cut it up into as even pieces as we can. It's real life. We're not going to get everything just perfect, but we're going to try to make it as perfect as we can.
And Peter, you told me that part of the reason you cool it too is it's much easier to cut this way, right?
Oh, it is. I've learned this just from experimenting, that if you let it cool, even just for an hour, it's still crumbly. But you let it cool overnight, and it just becomes nice and hard that when you cut it, it won't just, pieces will be falling. I have to say my favorite pieces are always the end, just because they get nice and crispy. Now what we're going to do is take these, put them all on the sides.
And really, this is one of the secrets to biscotti, is the second baking.
It
right?
is, because right now it's just a regular cookie. And I mean, it tastes okay, but when it has that extra crispy, it's just not much better. Now, we have the oven preheated at 375, so we're going to put it right in here.
How long are we doing it for?
About 20 minutes
Okay.
should be enough.
Okay.
And by the time that 20 minutes is up, we let it cool for a minute or two. It's ready to be eaten. Look at them.
So I want to keep asking you questions because you don't want to get them overdone either, right?
Nope. You can see how they're starting to crisp up right around there.
Nice and brown around the edges. But it's still a little, but it feels dry.
But
It's going to get harder.
Oh yes, it feels a little spongy right now just because they just came out of the oven. You let them cool for a minute or two, it's going to harden up really quick, and then that's it.
Okay, Peter, they've cooled off about 3 or 4 minutes now, and I see what you mean. When we took them out, they were a little soft in the middle, but now, well, there's just a little bit of give, but they're firm, and that's how you want it, right?
Yep, and if you feel here,
Okay.
don't put too much pressure, but just feel. You can tell that they've hardened up a lot.
Yep.
And that's, you extra 5 minutes in cooking, and then you take them out for an extra 1 or 2 minutes and sit.
Yep.
Does the magic itself.
And then, of course, when they cool off,
Yep.
we can wrap them up and they keep nicely for a week or so, right?
Yep. What you can actually do with these is if you make a whole bunch of them,
Yeah.
you can wrap them up and freeze them. And they'll last roughly about a week to a week and a half.
Oh, or a little longer, yeah. So you just take one out,
You just take it out whenever you want one, let it defrost a little bit, and there you go.
or share some with your neighbor, right? But right now, we have to share with my cook. And we left the big one for Ruth. So Ruth, there it is.
But I'm
But
going to share it. I'm gonna
with
share it.
Kayana. Right, Kayana, step up here. What do you think? Help yourself. Don't be bashful, Kayana. Not here at Shell Point. It's every person for themselves when you're eating, right? What do you
Yum,
think?
Yum, yum.
Huh?
Delicious.
Wow. Peter, I got to try some too.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough, Peter, for this.
No problem.
And if I'm lucky, maybe I'll take one home with me, huh?
I can see we can do that.
So if you haven't eaten at the Promenade Grill lately, come up tomorrow and join me for a panini and a biscotti. So thanks again, Peter, for sharing this wonderful recipe with you. And that's what's cooking today at Shell Point. Bye now.
problem.
Bye.
Bye.